So you went from recreating a big sound to phase linear and amplifiers, and big powerful amplifiers. How did phase linear start?
Well, like I said, I like big amplifiers. And yeah, I like big amplifiers.
I did too.
So I said to myself, if somebody's going to pay attention to me, I have to make something really different. A big amplifier. So I made a 700 watt amplifier. And in those days, we had something called a Macintosh Clinic. And the Macintosh Clinic would come to town to dealers and they'd advertise ahead of time, bring your amplifier in and have it tested. Mm-hmm. Now it's sort of an amplifier race. Mm-hmm. We like races. Mm-hmm. So everybody would bring their amplifier in to have the most powerful one. Mm-hmm. And to get the best graph from the Macintosh Clinic. So people would bring their amplifiers in and they'd pick them up and put them on the bench. 30 watts, big tube amps. 15 watts, 40 watts. Mm-hmm. And I came in with a solid state amplifier that put out 700 watts. And I was broke. I didn't have the money to buy a chassis or a power transformer, so it was what we call line connected.
Okay.
And it doesn't weigh anything, no power transformer.
Okay.
Power transformer for that was on the lamp pole outside.
Okay.
So here, 700 watts. And they went, huh? And they said, and they looked inside, and it was a rat's nest. It was built on a coffee can. Mm-hmm. So the guys were making fun of me in the dealership. What's this for? You tune this wire for channel 7? Mm-hmm. So we fired it off, and of course the power went up and up and up, and Dave O'Brien was turning the power up, and he looked at me and says, "What's the clipping point?" And before I could answer, the whole place fell into darkness. We blew a fuse in the dealer. It was putting out so much power. And it hadn't even gotten to 700 watts yet.
That's great.
So
blowing the fuse that day, that was actually the beginning of phase linear.
Well, it put me on the map because I got this graph from Davey O'Brien. And that graph showed that I was telling the truth about my 700 watts and low distortion. And I didn't have any credibility. It was Bobby Who. But it was Dave O'Brien from the Macintosh Clinic. They had credibility. So I copied that graph by the hundreds, maybe even a few thousand, and I mailed it out, and I was in business.
I'll be darned.
It was that easy. It was fun too.
I'll be darned. So when was the first actual run of your 5 or 10 or 15 phase linear amplifiers, and that was the 700, am I correct?
That was the Phase Linear 700. Yeah, there was shortly after that. It was about a year. It took me about a year to go from that coffee can amplifier to a real production unit. Mm-hmm.
How many did you build in your first run? Do you remember?
10.
10? Mm-hmm.
Built 10. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how to build a company. I knew how to build amplifiers. So what I had to do is I went to the library and read up on how to make a business.
So you were a sole proprietor at that time?
Mm-hmm. A sole proprietor.
Sole proprietor, entrepreneur, engineer. And today you come back full circle with a new partner and you're at it again.
I hate to say it, but it seems that every 10 years I start a new company, whether I need to or not. There was Phase Linear,
yes.
And then there was Carver,
yes.
And then there was Sunfire, and in between there was a company called Gene Phys, Carbon Genetic Physics, and that was fun too, but not nearly as much fun as audio.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.